ended up in what we call a Title I school. Now, Title I school is low performing, low functioning. Around it is it's gang infested. There were bars. And of course she wanted me, because I said, I want to be there. She said, come. So there I was. And, I would get scared. I would have to ride the bus in the morning, and I would say, please, God, don't let anybody stab me. I don't want to be the headline. Filipina teacher dies in bus. So there I was. And I had the hardest teaching time of my life, because the kids wouldn't listen. The kids were really difficult. I was getting sick, I was getting homesick, I was broke. Because when I don't come from a rich family. My father is a salesman, my mom is a homemaker. So I had to borrow money to get there, like most overseas contract workers. Same story, really. Just being there, being homesick, I really didn't have, I couldn't even really call home because the call cards were $5, and they say it's 30 minutes, but it's really 25. So, hello, Dad, and then you're done. My rationing for that week was done. So I was getting sick, I was getting tired, I wasn't successful. I was teaching preschool, something that I really, really, really loved. So it was such I was just really at a low point in my life. So one day I called up my dad and said, it's scary here. I said, Dad, please rescue me. And my mom probably heard my dad say, it's okay, anak, come home where you're loved. So I'm just, yes, I got to go home. 6 months, I got to go home. But my mom is, if you know my mom's very strong. She's Waray, actually. So she picks up the phone and says, you cannot go home. Who is going to pay for your debt? Who is going to do this and do that? You are staying there. Do not forget who you are, and do not forget why you're there. So then I said, can I talk to Dad again? And so my dad said, darling, my dad calls me darling. He really spoils his girls. He said, darling, I have the perfect solution for you. I'm like, yes, Dad to the rescue, Dad to the rescue. He said, tonight, when we pray the family rosary, I'll dedicate it just for you. And the many nights till you do well. This is a true story. And I said, great, just what I need. But you know what? A few months after that, my principal came to my class, opened the door and closed it. And then she called me in after school. She says, your classroom looks like a zoo. So this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to send you in a performance improvement plan. You are going to learn. You are going to learn everything that you need. So I went to positive discipline class. I went to classroom management. And as I went there, it was just the light bulbs went out. I'm like, yes, I have the tools, I have the tools, I have the tools. And so I came back in my class stronger, better, more resilient. And one day, I remember writing in my journal, I said, God, you have to be my everything, because I have nothing. And then I remember the next line would be, yes, God, you said something. Now I can work with it. And suddenly, I looked at my kids differently. See, my kids didn't change, but I changed. And when you change the way you look at things, the things around you change. So then I realized why Tammy was always holding on to my head. It was because she didn't have a mom, and I was her mom. And I realized that Jamal was always sleeping in my class because he was homeless, and this was his perfect time to sleep. And that kid that always, almost every day bullies somebody, it's because his brothers and sisters bullied him. And I decided that day that I would love all my kids, and my teaching just flourished. My classroom will be their second home. It will be the positive place for all these children. So after that, the following year, I got nominated for Teacher of the Year, and this never happens to a second-year teacher. The third year, thank you. And you know what? I also kind of had something to prove, because the Texans were like, "You're the first Filipino I've ever seen." You know, you don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to disappoint them, because I might be the last, and I want to leave a good impression, right? So anyhow, so there I was. On the third year, I also was nominated again. None of these things that I won, I didn't win. They went to teachers that have been in school for 10, 15, 20 years, but that didn't matter to me. because I got recognized, and that was important to me because I wanted my kids to be recognized. I wanted them to see preschool too, in a school that had so many problems, so many juvenile delinquents, cops would come in and go. I felt that my kids needed to be important, and if their teacher was recognized, they felt good about it because they would put you up there and they're like, that's my teacher. So that made me feel good. But anyhow, I do have another degree. I'm also an occupational therapist. So when my friend came over, she said, you need to take the boards for occupational therapy. And so I did. Luckily I passed because it cost about $300 something. And I said, I better pass because I don't have any more money for this. I was still paying for the bill from getting into Texas. So I went to California. That looks so much better, right? They have beautiful classrooms there. And this time there were no bars, no gangs. I was not ghetto teacher superstar. But I worked in a special ed department, something that I really still love till today. And it was easier for me. Now, I still had challenges, I still failed a lot, but it was easier for me now because of all the hardships I went through, my patience was this. And I learned to empathize, and so I could really reach out to the teachers, to the parents, especially the parents who, their kid is 3 years old and they need to go to school because they have special needs. And a lot of these parents feel cheated because that's not a normal child and they're still angry. And I as a therapist, I need to work with these parents so that they can do the stuff that they need to do at home so that these kids can get better. And it was at that time also that I was searching for something for my high-functioning autistic kids. Now, autistic children are very visual. And so, but I had some of them that really had poor hand skills, fine motor skills. Their writing was not legible. They had a hard time gripping and things like that. So I started to think, if I were an autistic kid and I was thinking visually and I like to play, what could I possibly bring to the table? Like what would motivate them to go forward? And then I discovered robotics, Lego robotics to be exact. Because when the kids are motivated, they will try to put those blocks together. They will try to put the tiny pegs together and they will keep moving forward. And lo and behold, their hand motor skills improved, so their writing improved, their manual dexterity improved. And I started to look at robotics in a different light. And I was also in charge of the Arts and Science Academies. And I started looking at STEM in a different light too. I said, well, there's more to this. And I'll show you later how it benefits children. So when I came back to the Philippines, I decided to do something for STEM education here. And this is our homemade video of what Compass is about.